Good evening. Just to mention a few tips for those who are interpreters or want to do some conference interpreting. What you need to do is first is to contact the organizers of the conference and ask them for some details about the speakers, the names of the speakers, their positions, how you pronounce their names. And this should be within 2-3 days before actually going to the conference. So you need to prepare, you need to read newspapers, magazines, watch the news about the conference, have some sort of information about what the topics that's going to be discussed. Maybe the speakers might have published some papers or have actually been on YouTube. So maybe that will be useful for you as an interpreter to get used to the voice of the person who is actually participating in the conference that you are interpreting for. Also, if you are interpreting from Arabic to English and you are going to a sort of conference where they might be talking about religious matters, you might have to prepare beforehand the verses from the Holy Quran. You actually go and check official translations of these as well as hadith, so that you will be able to interpret them and rely on their on the official translation of these verses and holy scriptures. When you are actually going interpreting as well, you need to know about the topic, the general topic. Actually, sometimes in the news, on TV, radio, magazines, all these various media, sometimes social media even, to see what kind of articles they've written. Maybe they have a website of their own, these speakers. So you need to know the speakers, you need to know what their specialities are, and their position, so that you don't make any mistakes in interpreting that. And you read articles in both Arabic and English, so that you can actually sort of match them as if they are parallel texts. You can come up with some sort of terminology from these two, and you can then tell what these terms mean in the other language and what is the most common one that's been used, so that you don't make confuse it with other terms. So it's a good way of preparing yourself 3 days beforehand. The night before the conference, what you need to do is to make sure that you sleep well early, so that next day you arrive at the conference quite early. You eat well, you keep fit as well. Arriving early to the conference is important because you might have a chance to talk to the speakers in order just to know their ideas and their views about the topic they want to discuss. In the case of a press office providing you with a speech, let's say, of some of them, what you need to learn from that speech is only to read it, to see if there are any terms that you might not occur to you while you are in the booth doing the interpreting, so that you can prepare these terminologies or terms beforehand, and then go to the booth and feel comfortable and relaxed also. But you need to be ready. I mean, relaxed, not too relaxed. You need to be ready, and when you are in the booth, you need to make sure that you can see the speaker that you are interpreting for or for them, so that you are seeing their gestures, you can see their way of speaking, their features, the expressions. That's very, very helpful in interpreting, conference interpreting. So you need to see them either personally or on camera, if need be on screen, that is. When you're interpreting, try not to shout, because there is no need to shout. There is a microphone there. And don't change your voice in any way to make it more professional, if you like or not. Just be normal, just be yourself when you are interpreting. Try not to drink a lot of water before you go into the booth, because sometimes you might have to be interpreting for like half an hour, and you might feel uncomfortable, and you can't, of course, leave and go to let's say, to the bathroom or something. So this, make sure that you are ready beforehand, before you go into the booth, that you are ready. Usually I would put a glass of water, very, very little water in it, and have a pen and paper ready, a pencil maybe. And that is only for writing numbers, because sometimes when you are interpreting fast, and especially for conference interpreters, they tend to make mistakes in numbers, like dates. Sometimes they confuse, let's say, 59 from 95 or 75 instead of 57. So that's really what it is. The other points that I want to raise, so first you need to know the names of the speakers, you need to know their positions, the topics they talk about, read the articles in Arabic and English about the topic itself, so that you are familiar with it. And then when you go home, you take these articles and you close the door behind you in a room on your own and start to do some sight interpreting, i.e. you look at the English and try to produce Arabic of it. Of course, when you are doing simultaneous interpreting, that's for conference interpreting, never do it bidirectional, i.e. English to Arabic and Arabic to English in the same conference, because that's very confusing for you, and code switching can be difficult, i.e. you might actually forget yourself, and then you will be you don't know which one is to output in, i.e. which language you are interpreting into. That becomes really very difficult for you to identify which one it is, the one that you are interpreting or outputting, as well, that's what we say in interpreting. Outputting means what you speak, the language that you are going to be producing, which is interpreting into, and the inputting is what you hear from the speakers when you are listening. Of course, you need headphones to be able to do that. So the night before, you always read all these in both languages, so that you can be familiar with all the various terminologies and also the concepts if need be. I wish that I've given you a very good summary of conference interpreting and simultaneous interpreting in particular, because that's what I am okay at, or I'm familiar with, and this is the one that I usually teach for masters and undergraduates as well. Thank you.